Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. You're watching my gaming channel 9. Couple days ago, one of my subscribers have asked me if I have done a season 11 yet, and I have not. So we will get to that once we get there. Season 11 ranking starts now. It has been a while since I've done that. I thought I'd do the last of it, but I wanted to continue more of it. So the first one we are going to start off is a very good start. Thomas and the Storyteller is a favorite. Good start so far. It, the visuals on this one are very nice. I love the storyteller's introduction in this episode. That requires a lot of time for me to waste on how much I spent on working this. It does have lovely visuals in this one. I I I do feel appreciated on how Thomas was able to help his friends. That's very nice in my opinion. Other than that, this is fantastic and one of the best of the story so far. I do want to say the fact that I do not like the library opening. I like going to the library, but not actually in the other library scenes. This is kind of difficult, in my opinion, to say about this, but nothing else is then fantastic. And one of the really nice ones, in my opinion. Alright, up next, Emily's Rubbish, or Emily and the Garbage is the next one if you're in the US like me. This one, I'm not so interested about this episode. I'm sorry, but it's actually true. I can't stand on how stupid Emily is in this episode. She is scared of a garbage engine named Whiff. I like Whiff's introduction, but I do not like the fact that she keeps running away from Whiff almost every single time. I can't stand how stupid this episode is, but it saves it from being bad, which is the visuals. A lot of people like this episode. I used to when I was little, but for whatever reason, I really don't care about it much. Just for that, I do not like this episode as much as a better episode. It's not enough to beat Thomas and the Storyteller. I wish I could do it, but I can't. This is just because how stupid this one is. And because of that, this is one of the worst so far. I like season 11 and it's much better than season 10, but I don't think have learned my lesson yet. If I did, then that's stupid. Alright, now we're gonna go to another episode I think fans will really like. Dream On. Better than Thomas and the Storyteller, and one of everyone's favorites of this season. And I can tell that. This episode requires Thomas wanting to be like Spencer. Just because Spencer boasts on Sodor, they all get cross with him. So Thomas wants to prove that he's shinier, stronger, and is faster than Spencer. But he doesn't but he didn't get to because he just wants to be like himself again. And then after that the Duke asks Spencer why he can't go because he's too slow to fire up. I can tell why though. It's not that horrible. I've wasted so much time trying to get this through. Other than that, this one is really good. Next episode, we've got one of my dumbest ones. Dirty Work. This requires like a season 2. Instead of Diesel, it's James. He's an idiot the entire time on the episode. I can't stand the fact how dumb this one is. James just refuses to help his friends because he's like the star of the show and wants to get the mayor to stay extra clean. So he ignores Thomas, Percy, and Emily's help. How stupid this episode is. It's not as good. It's not as bad as Emily's Rubbish or Emily in the Garbage if you're in the US version like me. Because of that, this one isn't as good as I thought. Kind of dumb in my opinion, but not this bad to save her from being the dumbest. Like, I can't stand this episode being so strict. I'm in really bad condition now. This is how much time this is really, really boring, and I don't do it often. Like boasting or something. Back from the song, What Makes an Engine Happy? I recognize the song about wanting to keep themselves clean like in Calling All Engines. But I didn't realize about this song making it so hard in particular. This is one of the worst. This is one of the worst so far. Moving on. Alright, next up we got Hector the Horrid. One of the favorites so far, and give me a second. I always get this when I either record or look something up on my computer or upload a video. Hector the Horrid is a really nice favorite. It's everyone's absolute favorite the entire time because of how horrid Hector is, and it's so nice to see. But for whatever reason, I can't stand Hector being so bossy. It's amazing, but it's not good enough. It's not actually gonna beat Dream On because I like the fact on how silly Hector is. He's like new and getting biffed and bashed by Bill and Ben and shouting at Thomas and frightening Rosie. That was fun to see. Michael Brandon's narration is so strong. Michael Angelis, on the other hand, sorry UK fans, but he's actually weak. He lost his energy on voicing Hector the Horrid. I do want to be fair though. He did try his best though, but he kind of failed because he kind of lost his energy in some lackluster, strange opportunities. Other than that, this one is a very nice way to do so, and really good so far, and one of the biggest in my opinion. Alright, next up, we got Gordon and the Mechanic. If only if I can get my mouse there. This one is okay. This episode shows that the other engines are like stuck because the points has been jammed. They need to get a mechanic to fix it. So Gordon does that, but he ends up getting the carpenter instead, which means that he left the mechanic behind. It is nice to see Donald and Douglas again, like their return from season 7. But I can't stand how weird this episode goes. It's not as bad, but it's kind of trash and really dull. I can't realize how much this song has not taken much time on purpose, but I'm not blaming it on whoever wrote this. Next up, of course, I know. I'm using the music right now. Thomas and the Spaceship. The nighttime visuals are very lovely, but this episode actually does require Thomas wanting to find Percy's spaceship after he saw some brightening, flashing lights. That does make sense though. I can't have much time on visuals, but what I can't stand about this is how stupid Thomas was the entire time. It is nice to see Jeremy again from season 10, but that's not. He last appeared on season 10, and his last appearance was on season 12. Then he never came back in the CGI series, which is sad to be honest. I wish I can say more of it, but I can't. This is just because of how much time the writers have took. And I thought for sure that it couldn't get any worse than that, but I can't help it any longer. I wish I could cancel it, but I can't. I don't have lots of time for how much time it has spent on me. but I decided not to think about it first and then trying it out. Okay, well, we gotta go for the episode that I want to actually explain about. This is no joke. Henry's Lucky Day. This one is weak, in my opinion. Henry is an idiot the entire time because he wants to find his lucky trucks so that he can get the presents. That does make sense though, but it's not as good. It's not as good as others thought, in my opinion. But I don't think I understand how much this episode has costed. It's wasted so much time. I mean, the winter visuals are really nice, but I don't think I understand how much Henry has costed his time. Like, oh my, this is stupid. Oh, this is stupid. I really don't want to see it again. Like, come on. You gotta at least pay attention more. Unless you are causing confusion and delay. I mean, yeah. Shout out to Toby Fan for the sponsors and making these episodes a rate. But to be fair, his least favorite episode was Toby's Triumph this time. And we'll get to that once we've gotten into the 7 episodes left. Speaking of Henry, he's not a dummy in this one, but he's mostly an idiot. Henry had somehow had a lucky day. How did he have a lucky day? All he ever did was just go on the main line when there's no snow blocking him. I mean, sorry guys, I just got my door open. Speaking of that, this one is really boring. It's not the worst in this series, but it is kind of dumb and really boring. Whatever I say about this one makes no sense. I wish I could say the rest of it, but I can't. Other than that, this episode is really, really, really boring. I can't help it. I just can't. Alright, next up we got Thomas and the Lighthouse. Everybody's least favorite, followed by Thomas and the Big Bang, but I think it's right above Thomas and the Spaceship. Sorry, folks, but I'm gonna get mad. You guys are gonna get mad at me when I say this. I really liked Thomas and the Lighthouse. I know that the writing was so dull and really bad, and it should have been sped up instead of speeds up. I know Abby Grant was the one that wrote it down, but I do like the episode of how much time the writing was supposed to take. The settings are nice, but the story doesn't take much of it. It's just Thomas not wanting to miss the fireworks display. I mean, sure, who gives a crap about that? The visuals on this one doesn't make up for it. It doesn't make sense though. This is fans hate the most. Followed by Thomas and the Big Bang, Don't Be Silly Billy, and Edward in the Mail. Understandably, I know, but to me, this is really good. And one of the better ones I've seen than Henry's Lucky Day. This one is this is not so strict and very dull, but I can't understand why. Alright, let's get to the episode I want to talk about. And I want to know why this is one of everybody's least favorites. Thomas and the Big Bang. This is the best episode so far. Why? I'll tell you why. It's because of how much time I spent to watch this. Yes, I know it's everybody's least favorite and Thomas's new whistle, which is exactly the same, but I love the fact he scares the narrow gauge engines. Sorry folks, but I'm really serious. If you guys disagree with me, that's fine. I'm not gonna care about it much. I'm still not changing my opinion on this episode. This is the only episode with the narrow gauge engines until Engines and Escapades have been written down. It doesn't really come back until the DVD version of Engines and Escapades, which is only the narrow gauge episodes. Thomas is almost the star of almost every single episode, except for the main ones like Thomas and the Storyteller, Dream On, Thomas and the Big Bang, Thomas and the Lighthouse, Smoke and Mirrors, Thomas Sets Sail, Don't Be Silly Billy, Hide and Peep, Thomas and the Runaway Car, Thomas in Trouble, and Thomas and the Stinky Cheese. Good golly, that one is so cool. But other than that, Thomas and the Big Bang is the best episode, and I'm not lying because this is one of the craziest ones I've seen all the time. And we don't have a bad episode yet, and we've already been through like 10 episodes through, and we don't have a bad episode yet. If I say it myself that Thomas and the Big Bang is the worst, then don't worry. I got your opinion. It is very bad, but to me, I know you guys are telling the truth about this episode being the worst of all, but I absolutely love these jokes. The jokes always make me laugh a lot. But, yeah. Rheneas hitting the pipes, Rusty getting covered in brick dust, and Sir Handel getting filled with flour. I know you guys mean it by then, but I don't want to argue. This episode is 100 times better than Dream On. If you guys want to disagree with me, that's fine. I don't want to argue anymore. This episode has contagiously lost its mind about how fabulous this is. Surprisingly, I thought Thomas in the Lighthouse was worse than Dirty Work, but after rewatching it, I thought for sure it was like the best. Well, not the whole best. That's why it was better than Thomas and the spaceship. Kind of forgot to mention about that episode since I skipped it. Like this is like listening to it over and over that many times that Thomas is stupid throughout the entire show. He plays a trick on Mr. Percival with the narrow gauge engines. And because of that, it's very funny in my opinion. Unlike watching the Blue Mountain Mystery ending on where Thomas wants to know who that yellow engine was, and it turned out to be Rheneas. That's kind of funny, but not for many viewers that are watching this. I don't understand why, but this episode doesn't contain much of it. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I have to try and complain with you guys about this. Alright, let's just get back to the episodes before I start to lose hope on these songs. These episodes. Excuse me for a second. This is only for a matter of time if I try and fool with you guys out there. I mean, I'm stupid for that. If you guys think I might be, I don't care much. The only thing I want to know, how much time the writers spent. Yeah, it was released not long ago. Same thing happened. Smoke and Mirrors is a bad episode. Thomas is an idiot throughout the entire time. He mixes up some equipment that the magician needs to perform a show. If I swear this one has more input, it would probably be the visuals. The concept is boring, and Thomas mixes up a lot of equipment for the magician to perform a show at the circus. Well, it wasn't really in the circus. It's just because Sir Topham Hatt gives Thomas the important things the magician needs for the show. But he doesn't listen because he's really dreaming about being in a show. It does have somewhat of an enjoyable ending. I don't want to watch this anymore because this is how stupid this episode is throughout the entire show. Like, gosh, that's stupid. I'm getting tired of hearing all this stuff because I get very mad and really wanting to punish myself for that. But I can't, because I've wasted too much time building this. Yeah, this episode does nothing to please me. If I did ask about that one, it would probably be something else. I mean, I'm getting tired of hearing this song all the time, or well, that episode. It's one of my least favorites so far. Boy, this is really dumb. Man, I wish I thought that wouldn't exist. Next up, we got Thomas Sets Sail. Probably the better episodes than Smoke and Mirrors, but it's not as good. I know Thomas was not an idiot the entire time, but he goes too fast and the mask gets stuck in the tree and then he couldn't stop the entire time. I'm glad he was able to, but that was after he passed her Top Hat, Lady Hat, and the mayor. Because they were waiting for a new mask, like a boat or something. Just because it was released at the docks. Doesn't mean you can disagree or agree with me. I'm fine with that. But I understand your reasoning on this. And I know. I'm not as good as any other YouTuber. I know the fact. Just disagree with me. I don't give a crap about that. I don't give a crap about it. I have a problem with that. I don't want to explain the problem or else I'll get terminated. And that would never happen. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to host anymore, and everybody would not like that anymore. Alright, here's the episode I want to talk about. Don't Be Silly Billy. This is the worst episode so far. Though, the worst episode. Billy is so out of character, followed by Thomas's concepts. He's very bossy. Billy is like the main reason why he is very bossy to Thomas. I mean, he's trying to keep him in order. He's not bossing him around. He's just trying to I know he's trying to tell Billy to fill up with coal and water, but he disobeys Thomas's request other than he runs out of both coal and water. Don't judge me. It's everyone's least favorite episode, followed by Thomas and the Big Bang, Edward and the Mail, and Skarloey Storms Through. We'll get to that episode once we've done that. Other than that, Don't Be Silly Billy is the worst episode. It is worse than all of these episodes. And the worst of almost the entire hit era. Followed by Thomas and the Statue and the Green Controller. But the Green Controller is slightly better than Thomas and the Statue. It mixes up some equipment. I can't stand a jerk how Billy was in this entire film. Well, not the entire film. The entire episode. At least he wasn't so bossy in the end. But that doesn't save me from putting it higher. I'm sorry. Well, I know you guys are not with me. And I'm glad you guys don't agree with this episode high. But I don't like this episode at all. I can't stand how stupid Billy is the entire episode. I used to be very bossy and always showing off when I was in kindergarten or very mean to other students back in school. But I don't give a crap. I'm not very bossy at all. Well, I can be sometimes. That's just kind of like bragging or something. That I know you guys hate this episode for a lot of reasons. Due to Billy's behavior being Silly Billy. They rhyme though, but Silly Billy. Silly Billy. It's Don't Be Silly Billy. Yeah, shut up, me. I just need to have lots of time to think about what this episode feels like. No wonder what I try and speak about Billy. He used to be a good character, but I thought back then he's extremely bossy and is very very unintelligent. Very boring, weak, bad, and terrible. All because of that, this episode sucks, and it's the worst of them all. Moving on to our next episode, which I hope is not as bad and gets an improvement. So if I can find something like this really quick, that would be nice. I don't think I can, though, to be honest. Well, if I can, though, what else would I say? This is like the silliest one of all times. Edward in the Mail is actually lackless in my opinion. Because of that, this episode doesn't have input there. I mean, it does, but not that much, though. I can't understand the whole reason. Because of that, Edward in the Mail doesn't really deserve respect or love. It's just Edward doesn't know how to take Percy's mail since he's never done that before. He delivers them to the wrong to the wrong. He delivered the wrong parcel to the wrong stations. I mean, Edward wasn't being bad. He's just he was just so worried he doesn't want to. He wanted to ask Percy, but he doesn't want to be silly. This episode and the others have strange outlets. And one of the trouble ones, in my opinion, becoming extremely bland and forgetful. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's really not that good. I've wasted so much time on trying to get this thing to work. But if I say it in other ways, then that does not work. Sorry, but that doesn't really work with me. Crashing into a barrier and not even watching where the points go, it's just not helping. It's not even worth it. I wasted too much time watching Misty Island Rescue every time, and it's really amazing. But I can't stand the fact how stupid Edward was this entire time. He really does not want to ask Percy if he feels so silly. Or get scrapped, like he thought he was in saving Edward. And I feel with him, because I know how much time he's really been working on. But enough is enough. Let's just get to the next episode. Or else I'm gonna go crazy and and throw my throw my friends over for an absolute smashing the computer. I don't want to do that, or else that would be a pain and it really would be my fault for that. Like, come on. You need to have other times. And other times need to be spent on. Ugh, man, I can't stand it how stupid it was. Next up is Hide and Peep. I love Hide and Peep as an episode, and I love Thomas and Percy as the protagonist. It's mainly Thomas in my opinion. Don't get me wrong. Thomas is my favorite character, followed by Stepney and Percy. Stepney's last appearance was actually in season 7, I think. He was like in the cameo, but he wasn't actually in this episode. If you guys know what I mean, then that's fine. I'm not quite gonna argue about this. Other than that, I'm not so sure how the rest goes. Other than that, Hide and Peep is a very great episode. It's so good, in my opinion. I just want to play hide and seek with my friends all day. But I don't think I do it anymore because I've been having too much time trying to play sports. I know I'm not actually a kind of a thing, and sports kind of cause me a little bit of friendship or something, but I can't really declare myself over this episode. If I'm watching Thomas and the Big Bang, it would get worse if I did that, but Thomas and the Big Bang has more output, and really is really nice to see. But for Hide and Peep, it's kind of better, but it's not as bad. And it's not as bad as I thought. Not to mention, incredibly disgraceful. If I say it myself, then I'm totally fine with that. I'm not going to explain the entire plot anymore. I would get terminated for that if I did that. Next up, Toby's Triumph. The weakest episode of Toby, and kind of... If I say it right there, then that it goes there. Toby is only worried that... I know that Toby is an idiot that is worried about making a mistake because he's collecting a very important visitor named Alicia Botti. But that doesn't give the right to be worried. Alicia Body is a famous singer. I know I'm gonna be extremely mad when I say this one, but I do not like Toby's problems about making a mistake about picking up Alicia Body from the airport. I know how he means though, and is worried about making a mistake. But I don't care about this episode whatsoever. If I explained more on this one, then I could have done a dub over it with a ton of my friends of all times. If I'd done a live video about this one, then that's totally stupid. I can't have a live video yet, and I can't try my hardest on this one. If I did though, that would not be worth it. And really dull indeed. If I said it myself, I don't care much about that. And I get it, you guys are going to be mad at me, but I do not give a crap about that. I thought I was improving this whole time when I first watched it, but I don't think I have ever tried though. And I can't try it any longer. How stupid is this supposed to be? Next up, we got Thomas and the Runaway Car. Another Thomas episode that goes in the favorites tier. We've been having a lot of these so far. I'm surprised about that. Due to that, Thomas is actually the main character, but I'm not sure how he's going to be placed soon. Yeah, I know Thomas is trying to catch the runaway car because he was not coupled up to it. Because he was impatient to race race Gordon to the show, to the circus, to get Sir Topham Hatt's hat blue car. That's why they call it though. I don't know why they call it a hat blue car. It should have been a brand new blue car, not a hat blue car. That was hilarious when Michael Brandon and Michael Angelis said that. Michael Angelis is not the weakest in my opinion. He has energy, but it doesn't actually compare his to Brandon's. If I say myself Brandon is better, then I don't care much. I care about Brandon's narration, and I care mostly about Thomas's doubtful to try and beat Gordon. Just because he lost the runaway car and made Arthur get covered in fish and Rosie getting splattered with mud doesn't make the episode bad. That scene is really doubtful. Doubtful than the other strict opportunities on using this. Really bland and forgetful. I'm not going to try and think about saying it anymore, or else I'm not going to have time to think properly. Other than that, this episode is fantastic. Not going to lie. If I did, though, that's stupid. Next up, we got one of my other favorites. Thomas in Trouble. I thought it's the best episode, but after rewatching it, it goes there. The second best episode of this series. Thomas in Trouble features on his health that I know taking the children is his favorite, but that doesn't give a right to not have his final inspection at the works. I know the fact, and I have problems with this episode. I do like the clack, clunk. Yeah, this is like, I'm not paying for that. I want to get out. And I want to grab the children. I get it. I know. I know what you guys mean by that. But seriously, I'm not doubting this episode is 100 times bad. I know it has an input and it has very nice visuals, but it doesn't actually compare to Thomas and the Big Bang. It's not bad at all times. But I swear this episode needs to be underrated more than ever. As many times I've watched Dream On, it doesn't feature how much time Thomas wants to be clean, stronger, and faster than Spencer. And I get it. I put Edward the Great in the great tier because I don't know about how to say about this episode other than repeating the tortoise and the hare. And I do get it. It repeats the tortoise and the hare from Bugs Bunny being the rabbit and the tortoise being just tortoise. And I get it. Do not repeat me. I know that. I watched this episode over 10 times, and I don't have much to say any longer. Other than that, this episode is really amazing. One of the better ones so far. Speaking of that, we're going to be moving on to our next song, or next episode, if I can think of something in my brain. Otherwise, I'm not going to have any more time to think about spending on work for. And I know about that. Really, really weird in my opinion. Next up, we've got Thomas and the Stinky Cheese. This one is okay. I do like the Steamy and Diesel rivalry concept, that Thomas does not like working with the Diesels and the Diesels do not like working with Thomas either. But that doesn't give a right to laugh at him for being a stinky steamy. Only the Diesels think about it. It's mostly Diesel, not gonna lie. Same for Ari and Bert. Diesel and the Diesel and the twins are just very bad. They are mostly antagonists of this episode. Antagonist is like the villain in this one. If I swear to goodness sakes, oh goodness, I just want to get my head exploded back then. If I don't finish this one in time, I'm not going to be able to have some sleep. Ah, dang it. I paid so much attention to this episode and I didn't get any more concept to say. Or actually, I'm going to move it up. I'm going to move it above. Oh, come on, I always get this. I swear, I'm supposed to have like ads that are like this. It's so boring when I try and get this out. Nothing special to say about Thomas and the Stinky Cheese, but I do like the crash for some reason. I know Toby's triumph was that Toby got covered in mud in one of Toby fans 219's least favorite episode, and made a review about why he hates that episode so much, followed by Toby feels left out from season 9. And I'm not sure what his third least favorite one is, but it better not be well, I don't know. I mean, I do feel like for sure that, oh goodness, I do know Thomas is a cheesy tank engine, not cheeky, but he doesn't want the Diesels to think that he's stinky. And I get it, though. And I know what I actually know about. Not to mention, I'm trying to think about how much time. I spent so much time trying to figure out how much time this episode has only costed. Like, man, oh man, this is like boring. Not so boring. Okay, next up, Percy in the left luggage. Or Percy in the baggage. This one actually goes there. Percy's only worried about one small job, which is taking the baggage to the airport where Dowager Hat will leave for her flight. But after that, he gets so many jobs to do, like giving the children a ride or something. But I do think this scene with Percy and Edward is adorable. But other than that, Percy has no problems after this was supposed to think about. After thinking about this episode for so long, I think it's not too bad. But no reason is that I don't have any input. And I think this episode doesn't help compare it much. And I think this episode needs to be respected more often. If I say it in my head, that's fine. But I don't care much about this anyway. Just, please, get me to the next song, please. I don't have time for this anymore. Next up, we got Duncan Does It All. And it actually goes there. Sorry, folks, but I don't feel interested with this episode. Duncan has like one job, which is taking hay to the farms, which is in the village. He wishes he can do something else fun instead of just taking some straw or hay, whatever it is. This episode has no predicting jokes. If I told the review on the narrow gauge engines being more reliable than the steam team or diesels, I don't give a crap about that. The Steam team only does more things more often. And one of the weakest ones so far in the narrow gauge versions of it. I'm not gonna complain about this one, but it's so mediocre. It's not as boring. I know this episode has meanings of this one, but after taking Rusty's passengers that were sightseers and Skarloey out of Puff, I cannot risk any more time in the future. Other than that, I'm not going to explain more of it. Let's move on to the next one. Sir Handel in charge. This one is right, okay. I know how this episode goes, and I can feel it. But Sir Handel doesn't even listen, even though he likes to tell the other engines what to do. But what I can't stand is that he doesn't listen to Mr. Percival. And I know for sure. As such, I hate him. But he does fix things right, though. But I can't stand him how stupid he was the entire time. He didn't even listen. Well, he did get the right amount of jobs for the things that they need to load up for Thomas. But he doesn't think that it's true. And doesn't think that they're not able to do it enough. I know Can You See Fish has made a review on that, and I know that. But I don't think I realize how much this film or this episode has costed me. I watched the movie Engines and Escapades on DVD, and I thought this episode wasn't as good. And I thought it was weak in my opinion. Not to mention kind of lackless and strange. This episode only wastes a lot of time. Let's just move on. I don't want to waste any more time. Next up, we got Cool Truckings. This one is really good. I can feel the reason why. Cool Truckings is part of the fact that there's snow covering the narrow gauge railway, and I feel it. I hate snow in real life, but I actually like snow in this episode. Cool Truckings is an improvement over Sir Handel in charge. I know it's not Duck takes charge, but I don't give a crap. It introduces Madge in this episode, but he doesn't come back in season 12 or the CGI series. Only 2 episodes, and even in The Great Discovery, he was spoken both Michael Brandon, Angelus, and Brosnan. And I don't understand. Very, very strange. If I say it myself, then I don't care much. I swear, if I had a review on this why I think it's really good, it's because of the winter visuals. And I do love the slip and slide on Madge that carries Duncan around. It's funny how he sprays a policeman. And it's really amazing. But the crash is unnecessary and doesn't contain an improvement. And I know how this episode goes. But that's not the reason why it's not that good. I spent too much time working on this so much. Alright, next up, we've got Ding-a-Ling. This is another great episode, I'm not gonna lie. Probably one of the least favorites from the narrow gauge, followed by Skarloey Storms Through. I mean, Freddy is the main character in this one, am I right? He just wants to find a bell for Mr. Percival's bike. But after finding so many places to find a bell, he finds a cowbell, a school bell. What else was there? I don't want to do it anymore. Those were the only 2 things I can only remember. And maybe possibly I don't want to. I don't think I understand this episode as much as I think about considering the most. Not to mention, this episode is much better than Sir Handel in Charge. I know I consider it to be everyone's least favorite episode, followed by Scarlovi Storms Through in the horrible or awful tier, but I don't give a crap about Ding-a-Ling. Freddy is the main character, and thought he doesn't even know where to find a bicycle bell. But after seeing Thomas has a bullhorn, or that foghorn, excuse me, not a bullhorn, it would be if there was a bullhorn in this episode, then that I would have been putting it in the bad tier. But I don't think I can because that foghorn was old, but it still works though. In the very end, Mr. Percival's old bicycle bell was polished and cleaned, good as new, and now it works properly now. After rewatching this one a couple times, I thought how Freddy has been feeling over his time with I don't know, so many bells on the bicycle. Not gonna lie, three bicycle bells or three bells on the bicycle made it so heavy and toppling it off the flatbed. I mean, I feel that episode has more strength than time, but that doesn't give a right to have us a heavyweight contest, and I don't care. I don't have reviews to say about this episode other than that it's not that good. Only to think about that I don't even know how much time I spent to work on this one. And this episode doesn't contain much, but I do like the visuals, but I don't think Freddy was the way to do so. And I like Mr. Percival saying, "There's no bell." That's a funny line to say in my opinion, and I love it. What I do love the most is the visuals in this plot. The concept too. I explained the whole lot of it lately, and it's getting very boring. I just want to get this thing done and over with, so I can go take a shower. And I can, to be honest. I totally can. Man, I've explained a whole lot at this moment. But now I'm going to lose a lot of time if I can't find something quick. I mean, I do think about this one, but I don't think I can understand the reasoning. Over than that, Mr. Percival's bicycle bell wasn't even this bad. I don't know how much time I improved. I think I've done it before. Skarloey storms through, or, well, not much to say. This is another great episode. I love it. I don't want to explain more about this one. Other than that, I love it the most. I think I've seen that song before in one of my episodes, but I don't give a crap about that. I only wanted to do it twice in a row. Because of that, I'm wasting time. I know I'm almost done with it, but I don't actually know about that. Not to mention, I think this episode is 100 times better. Or actually, I might put it above Ding-a-Ling, but below Thomas and the Spaceship. That episode only inspires how much time Skarloey is scared of the thunder and lightning, but he didn't want to tell his friends, and he didn't even want to look silly. So he gets scared. After Peter, Sam, and Rheneas have ran out of coal, Skarloey is the only one to do this. Because of such, I hate him. But I do like his personality, the number one narrow gauge engine. Not to mention, I do like the rainy visuals of this one. Everyone's other least favorite, followed by Thomas and the Big Bang, Don't Be Silly Billy, and Edward and the Mail. I know I get it though, but why? The answer is because you don't understand how much brave Skarloey can be. I know he's childish at this point, but that doesn't give a right to explain why that's bad. I know if I watch this episode again, then this is really an improvement. It's an improvement over how many episodes there might have been. And if there was anything like Henry's lucky day, he needed his lucky trucks. And he wanted to help, and Skarloey wanted to help the farmer so that way the sheep can get back to their field. And I know, he's like a crybaby or something like in War and Peace, But that wasn't an example I wanted to say about. Because of that, I wasted too much time on building this. And I just want to get out of this so fast. And I'm too tired to think about realizing how many episodes I've been through lately. Golly, I've wasted so much time. And these visuals are not as bad as I thought. But I can't stand how much time it's spent on me. Not to mention, a big deal. The visuals are nice and the rainy visuals are good. And the final episode, yeah, I know, is Wash Behind Your Buffers. Another favorite, above Hector the Horrid, but below Dream On. This is my fourth favorite episode. Madge is actually the main character in this one. It's not Skarloey or Rheneas. And I know Madge wants to be on time to take the band, but he gets dirty after telling Rheneas and Skarloey to wash behind your buffers. That's a good quote, I'd say. But that's not the best part about this one. What is the best part is that Madge's pipe gets stuck. The mud in Madge's exhaust pipe is stuck and blows it all over Rheneas and Skarloey, making them dirty again. But I know it can't contain the fact Skarloey was covered in quarry dust when he was working at the quarry. And I don't know if Rheneas was working at the coaling plant and got covered in coal dust. But I get it. I only think about this episode being extremely timely. Madge is personally the reason why he doesn't want to lose his time and get embarrassed over the mud. They managed to be squeaky clean after that, and I wasted so much time building this episode over a running piece of a masterboard. I don't have much to say about this episode. So I'm going to say to myself, Wash Behind Your Buffers is a fantastic episode, but is not the best to beat Thomas and the Big Bang. I know for sure Thomas and the Big Bang is the best episode, but I know you guys have, got a chance to get angry at this one because of how stupid Thomas was the entire time, scaring the narrow gauge engines when he's not doing his work. I know some of you guys liked this episode too. I do too. But that's not the reason why I think this episode is that good. So that Wash Behind Your Buffers is another great episode. And that's all the episodes I ranked from worst to best. We got Don't Be Silly Billy, Smoke and Mirrors, Dirty Work, Emily's Garbage or Rubbish, whatever, Edward in the Mail, Henry's Lucky Day, Duncan Does It All, Toby's Triumph, Percy and the Left Luggage, Thomas Sets Sail, Gordon the Mechanic, Thomas and the Stinky Cheese, Sir Handel in Charge, Ding-a-Ling, Skarloey Storms Through, Thomas and the Spaceship, Thomas and the Lighthouse, Cool Truckings, Thomas and the Runaway Car, Hide and Peep, Thomas and the Storyteller, Hector the Horrid, Wash Behind Your Buffers, Dream On, Thomas in Trouble, and Thomas and the Big Bang. If you guys want me to do a season 12, let me know by hitting the subscribe button, and I'll see you real soon. Bye, guys.